If you got licks that always fall apart at speed, I'm going to show you a method that fixes that. And if you want a full 30-minute routine that will clean up your alternate picking, I put it inside the classroom of my free practice room community. You have a link below. And if you want direct coaching with me, that's what we do in the Practice Room Pro version. And you can find a link to that inside my free community. So one of the most frustrating things when you practice is trying to get a specific lick from a solo up to speed. And there always seems to be that one lick that doesn't want to cooperate. So in today's video, I'm going to show you a technique that I like to use to get over these problem areas. And it's also a great way to actually find these problem areas, because sometimes we don't even know why things go wrong. It's called chaining, or beat-to-beat practice, as I like to refer to it, and you're going to see why in a second. And trust me, it's really a game changer when it comes to getting certain phrases up to speed much quicker. So I'm going to use this phrase to demonstrate it. Now, practicing this over and over again isn't the most efficient way to practice. And why is that? Well, your brain gets overwhelmed. Instead, let's break it down into smaller bite-sized chunks and focus on mastering one beat or a small section at a time. So in this case, it's based on 16-note triplets, and if you want the tabs, you can go to my Patreon and get it there. I have a link down in the description. But basically, we take the first 6 notes plus 1. And the plus 1 is important because it will feel really weird playing 6 notes per beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you just stop. It feels much more natural to go to the next note or the next beat, hence the name beat to beat. So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, right? So, and you can do this with a metronome or without a metronome, but you want to start on a beat and then connect it to the next beat. So, and let's say your fastest speed that you could play this the whole run, or something like that. I'm pretty sure if you could do it at that speed, you could probably get one beat to the next that, you know, maybe not significantly faster, but quite a bit compared to the whole thing. And that's the point here. And that also builds your confidence, and you can see that, oh, I might actually be able to do this eventually. A word of warning here, I wouldn't suggest that you practice this way all the time. I tend to use this for specific phrases that I'm trying to learn. If it's an exercise, I will focus on my regular way of practicing, which is quite slow, so where I can really focus on every detail of what I'm doing and making sure that everything gets done perfectly and really program my technique that way. But I felt doing both, you get the best of both worlds and you progress much faster than if you only did one or the other. But like I said, don't overdo this. I know it's tempting to do that, but that's not the thing here. You want to build your base by practicing very slowly and accurately, and then you use this as the other side of the coin, where you actually still focus on accuracy, but you just speed it up a lot, because you can do that because you're playing a very limited amount of notes instead. So back to our lick here. What you want to do is that you do the first beat to beat, so beat 1 to beat 2. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, right? And then whatever tempo you're practicing it at, set a goal. Maybe you want to nail it 3 times in a row or 5 times in a row or something like that before you move on, right? And then once you've done that, you move on to the next beat. So then you're going to start on the note you ended at. And this is super important. So we're always going to overlap here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 1 again. And then you start on that note, even though in the actual phrase you wouldn't double pick this. It's just to connect it, right? So if you think of the beats like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, and then you do that, 3 times in a row perfectly. Start on the second beat and do the same thing again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, meaning the first note of the third beat. So you go. Same thing here, you try to get it to the same tempo. Start the note we ended on. This one. and so on. So hopefully you can see that it's pretty straightforward. You just go from one beat to the next and you chain them together. Now when we get to this point, we're going to go up in this hybrid picked sequence. And this lick in particular doesn't matter. It's just a way to demonstrate this, and also demonstrate that it works not only with alternate picking, it works with any technique. It just gets a bit trickier initially when you do it with hybrid picking, for example, because you have to be really clear how to start each note, because with picking it's always going to be a downstroke in this case if you start with a downstroke, because we're always starting on the beat, right? In this case it might be, you know, a hammer-on, it might be a finger, it might be whatever, but it's pretty easy to figure that out. You just play the phrase and count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, right? So and then I will start on this one and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. So when I practice, this is an important part actually. I don't want to start with my pick, because when I play it, it's going to be this A finger. So I want to start like that. And that feels really awkward initially. But that's also part of the benefit of this practice technique, because you really get in there and find things that are like, oh, this is really weird. But if you think about it, this actual thing occurs when I play the entire phrase anyway. So if it feels weird here, that might be one of the sticking points that you can get rid of by practicing this way. Once you've gone through the entire thing, one beat to the next, you do the same thing again. So you start from the beginning, but now you do two groups instead. So you go 1, 2, 3. So I'm counting the beats here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. And try to get those. And you might find that this is really tricky, because if you think about it, you're actually doubling up the number of notes here. So this is usually the trickiest part of this, because you add so many more notes percentage wise, but as you start adding more and more groups, it's not actually this big of a jump in the difficulty. So take your time with this. And again, you don't need to get this one up to the same speed as the single group one, and you probably wouldn't anyway, because that's the whole point of doing this kind of chunking practice. Doing it this way, you can find quite quickly if the technique you're using is actually going to work at a higher speed, even if it's not, you know, at the goal tempo you're going for overall. You can at least see if, like, oh, this won't work at all because I'm hitting a wall. And that's usually the problem I've seen when doing the metronome practice, where you start really slow and raise the tempo. That you can sometimes run into tempos where it just falls apart, and it's a really hard time getting over that. It's not a hack, but it's a way to get around that step and find a motion that will work at a tempo much closer to your goal tempo, and then you can reverse engineer that technique, and when you practice slowly you can use the same type of motions. And once you get that first group, so you do 1, 2 and on 3, then you start on the second group, so you don't start on the third. This is really important here. So you're always going to start on each individual beat, right? So you're going to go group 1, group 2, first note of group 3. Then you're going to go back to 2 and go group 2, 3, first note of group 4, so and so on. So you would go from group 2 here into 4. Then you start from 3, right? From 4. And so on. So you go through the entire thing like that. Before you know it, that once impossible passage will feel totally doable, and even fun to practice this way, believe it or not. So just remember, break it down, practice small chunks at tempo or as close as you can, and then chain them together. So give this method a try and let me know how it works for you in the comments. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more tips, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and happy shredding.